And joining us now to discuss the very latest on all of this, ABC's Maggie Rulli is in Ukraine, in Lviv, and Alex Perche is in Washington with us here. So, Maggie, let me first go to you. I guess air raid sirens just went off there in Lviv. Tell me what the latest is on the fighting, and are the airstrikes in that part of the country ramping up?
Hey, Terry, that's the major concern right now. Russia moving these airstrikes west. We just had to do a quick scramble. Air raid sirens were going off moments ago. We've been hearing them more frequently overnight, early in the morning. This is some of the first we're hearing them at this time of night right now. And people are amping up right now because those airstrikes are moving west. Over the weekend, we had that horrible strike near the Poland border, killed 35 people, injuring more than 130 at a military base there. What we're really focused now on, though, as well, is that encircling of Kyiv. Russia just seems adamant about trying to encircle the city. There were 2 airstrikes there earlier today, one of them on a civilian apartment building. We know multiple civilians died in that airstrike. Also, the eastern front and on the south just keep getting hit so hard, Terry, right now. We know there were airstrikes in Kharkiv, that city that's been getting just bombarded in the eastern portion of the country. Down south, Mariupol, we've seen the horrific images coming out of there. The only slight good news there today is there was a break in the bombing long enough that where local mayor says some cars were able to leave a convoy of about 160 vehicles, but they couldn't manage to get any humanitarian aid in. So for the hundreds of thousands of people still trapped in that city, they have no food, no water, no heat. Only a few were able to make it out. So definitely growing concerns across the country and here in western Ukraine as well, like I said, Terry.
Just a staggering situation. We were looking at the pictures there, Maggie, of Mariupol, the drone video. It looks like every shot is a war crime. You talk about civilian targets. I don't see many military targets being hit. But, Maggie, I want to come back here to Washington now with Alex. And the question of what happens tomorrow here? Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is expected to address a joint session of the U.S. Congress on Wednesday, obviously remotely. He's in Kyiv, and he's staying there, and that's part of the fight, essentially. But, Alex, what can we expect to hear from Zelenskyy? And how about that no-fly zone that he continues to insist upon? How do you think that is going to be received by Congress?
Well, Terry, so listen, I expect that we will continue to see President Volodymyr Zelenskyy lobby for continued aid dollars to help the Ukrainian efforts going on against Russia. But something else that he's been quite consistent about is, as you mentioned, this no-fly zone. And so when he meets with members of Congress on Wednesday morning, which we expect that to be live streamed, I would suspect that he would renew calls for this no-fly zone. And again, this has been a hard line for the Biden administration basically since it was proposed. But Biden has been backed up by many members of Congress. But today, we're actually hearing from one senator, Lindsey Graham, who seems to be changing his tune a little bit with regard to this no-fly zone. Lindsey Graham speaking at a roundtable at Columbia Law and saying that if a chemical attack by Russians in Ukraine, that would be a war crime of monumental proportions. And he says that would be something that he would justify a no-fly zone for. So we'll see if Lindsey Graham being the first, if there are other senators, other Republicans, maybe that follow suit in changing their tune about this no-fly zone. But it's definitely an interesting development to keep an eye on.
It is. Senators' speeches are opinions, really. It's the president who has the command authority, and President Biden has been scrupulous that there will be no fly zone. But, Maggie, I want to go back to you. In Lviv there, that beautiful city, what is life like there right now for you and for the people there? I was there just before the war, and they were in denial. What's it like there now?
Yeah, Terry, it's sort of a bizarre place to be right now. I mean, we just heard air raid sirens. They're happening more frequently. People here are so scared of what's next. But I know you were here. You saw how beautiful this city is. There is such a lively vibe here. Restaurants are still open during the day. Coffee shops are open. I even went to a school that just opened up this morning, Terry. Schools are back in session. There's this balance of trying to figure out how to live life in a war-torn country. And for many people, they can't leave. And we met a woman friend whose son is 20. She doesn't want to leave him behind. She's stuck here in Ukraine. It's like these students. These students are from the eastern portion of the country. They are all without their parents. They have nowhere else to go. School is all that they have. And we spoke with them today, and you could just, hear how scared they were when they were told they had to leave their home behind. One 13-year-old boy pointed out his home on a map. It's in Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. He said, I had to move from my home when Russia first came in 2014. This time I had to move again, only this time I know I'm never going to be able to go back home. So there's just a sad realization for so many people, but they have to keep living. At that school, what was sort of amazing to see, Terry, was that the kids were still full of so much joy. We saw them kicking a ball around, laughing, playing with our camera. People still have to be kids. And so it's finding that balance of living with air raid sirens and going to school at the same time.
And those kids, thank you, Maggie, are blessedly resilient, so many of them. That's where they're made. Alex, for President Biden now and the NATO allies, what's next in this effort? I know that he's bolstered the eastern flank there. There are more forces flowing. How is the president leading the alliance and what is now a grinding war?
Well, Terry, we've talked a lot about the aid that's being sent from the U.S., but something developing late this morning and into the afternoon. Our White House team getting word that the Biden administration, the president, is now considering a trip to Europe. It would be his first trip to the region amid this war. It's still details very much still being worked out, but that is something that is being discussed, according to a source talking to our White House team here.
All right. Alex Perche in Washington, Maggie Rulli out there in Lviv. Thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.